Barely in time. And now the clock shows that I'm late. What's up? I'm back. I'm gonna be real. I'm probably more tired today than I was last time. But last time I did a short stream, like in anticipation for some stuff. Today this is gonna be a like regular length stream. We'll see how it goes. Uh, I haven't gotten any emails from my job, so I'm assuming that like they're either gonna give me some stuff late in the day today, or it's gonna be like I actually start next week, or I think even sometime next month. I don't know. Got a full room here, just about. Wow. Cool. Let's, here, hold on. Let me duplicate this tab. Pull it over here. Nice. Okay. Got some things lined up that I wanted to, talk a little bit about. We'll see. We'll see how this all goes. Oh, goodness. Man, I'm really tired. This track is cool. Oh, no. Oh. Poor bastard. Another shock? That was fast. Damn. Well, anyways. Let's get started, I guess. I can start talking while these people are still racing. It's like there's a lot of Funky Kongs and a lot of Europeans in this room, particularly. Although there's some Americans as well. Blue lines. I remember, making a video, making that video about Joe Biden being a liberal and conceding to Greg Abbott, whatever. I went really ballistic, and one of the things that I said in that video is that this country is fucking cooked. And I had no idea at the time that I was even more right than I was in the moment. And I was pretty fucking correct in saying that in the moment. But the reason that I'm correct to say, that I would be correct to say this country is cooked is a little bit different now. Recently it came out that not only does Joe Biden struggle a little bit with being slower in his old age and whatever, something that is pretty typical and that I kind of assumed was the case. No, he literally is in the throes of advanced dementia. And I mean like advanced. Evidently there was a prosecution or like a special counsel investigation into him having mishandled some documents, something that isn't all too uncommon and I think deserved to be investigated and whatever. Ultimately, the documents were all returned in pretty short order, so no harm, no foul there. But it was revealed over the course of that investigation and through the course of several interviews that were leaked that Joe Biden has memory problems so severe that he Number one, cannot remember when he was vice president of the United States. Number two, cannot remember who other world leaders of other countries are, name dropping Francois Mitterrand, the president of France who died in 1996 when he was at an international summit, with Emmanuel Macron, who is alive and is president right now. And also name dropped somebody, the former chancellor of Germany, who also died a while ago. When right now Olaf Scholz is the chancellor. That's number two, and number three. Also, forgot, could not recall within several years when his son Beau had passed away. Obviously, got a lot of sympathies, an old man and whatever, but this is more than just, your garden variety growing old problems. This guy is the president of the United States, and the Democrats are trying to prop him up as the nominee for 2024. Which is really concerning. Not from the perspective of me going to vote, right? No matter what, you could wheel out Biden's shambling corpse, and that would be better than Donald Trump, and I would still vote. I would vote for Joe Biden's corpse in this election, if that's what it took. But from a politically strategic perspective, this is really bad. Really, really, really bad. Because while Trump also suffers from mental decline and advanced age, he's at least a little bit better at hiding it, if that makes sense. Trump kind of sounds like Trump, and he's got the charisma to sort of smooth that over. Joe Biden doesn't, and also Joe Biden doesn't have a sycophantic base that will do literally whatever he says, because he's not Trump. Ooh. Cool. I'm gonna hold on to this red shell. Probably a smart decision. So where am I going with this, right? Obviously, just for obvious reasons, it's bad that the president has very advanced signs of mental decline and instability and that sort of thing. But this is really going to bring us ever closer to a Donald Trump electoral victory in 2024, which I think everybody can agree is a bad thing, right? Nice. Oh. That's not the hand you want to be dealt in this situation. And the Democrats, if you guys remember, were sort of advertising Joe Biden as a safe one-term president, but they didn't put in any of the legwork to find anybody else once he got in office. In fact, he just started campaigning, and the Democrats tried their best to clear the field for him, which is the absolute wrong idea. Basically, this election, I said it in the other video, but I'll say it again here. This election is going to be a race to the bottom, and we have to cross our fucking fingers and hope that the Democrats don't win that race. We have to hope that the Democrats lose the race to the bottom so that they win the election, because holy shit, I've never seen Democrats try to race to the bottom this hard before. It's so bad that while at the same time the Democrats are propping up Joe Biden, saying he's our strongest candidate, there is polling data, which I have mixed feelings about polls in general, but these polls seem to be pretty alarming on their own, there's polling data that suggests that a generic Democrat that has like no name recognition would be better than Biden. And all the time, while the Democratic Party is trying to prop Joe Biden up, they are also trying to tee up Kamala Harris to take the spot for the presidency once Joe Biden grows too old, has to resign or whatever, because they know as well, like the Democratic Party also knows that like Joe Biden's brain is cooked, you know. It's not exactly a secret, and that really makes the Democrats look weak. It makes Joe Biden look weak, and like I say weak in the sense of like they just don't have much substance behind them. Like that, like this is your best guy. This like senile old man, you know. Really bad look, and it's making everybody's life in this country a lot worse and a lot more precarious for no good reason. Of course, I've fallen behind here as I'm saying that, but you know, it's fine. This is a 5-player room. There can't be shocks in a 5-player room, and I think I know where I want to use this golden as well. Start using it here. I'm gonna land. God damn it! I thought I could go over that fake item box, but I ended up landing directly on top of it. Oh well. I don't know if this will last. Somebody's almost certainly got a mushroom here. Alright, hit somebody. Think I got second? Yeah, I did. Let's find a friend. Sure. Shit is not good right now. Ah, dang. Alright, let's do CT Worldwide, see what's up. Yeah, here's the tweet from the POTUS account. We are so fortunate to have a real leader, a true friend, and a historic vice president in Kamala Harris. We couldn't do this without you, Kamala. Posted February 8th, by the way, the same day that a lot of the news articles dropped about Biden's dementia being so advanced that he couldn't remember within several years when his son had died, when he had been vice president, who was the world leader of a given country right now, and all that. So I think it's pretty evident what's going to happen here, that the Democrats are going to try to win the election with Joe Biden as the candidate, and then basically the moment he wins or either gets sworn in, replace him with Kamala Harris, have him resign, have her be the president, so that there's not like the danger of Joe Biden dying in office, which of course assumes that he's not going to die in office between now and then, and also assumes that he's not going to lose the election to Donald Trump, which is also possible now that this information has been revealed. And with it becoming ever more unlikely by the day that Donald Trump will be convicted of any of the pending criminal charges against him. You know, as many people have remarked, we're sort of in uncharted waters here. the contest is between a literally senile old man who is like so senile he can't even conduct himself in a public press conference without having memory lapses. And somebody who has been indicted on 91 criminal charges with regards to mishandling classified documents, who incited an insurrection, and by all, uh, you know, arguments from defending democracy, should be barred from participating in the election at all. Um, it's pretty wild, and for that reason, every institutional actor is piss scared to do anything, because this is what happens with liberal institutions whenever they encounter something unprecedented. They do nothing. They freeze, because like the entire ideology of institutionalism rests on just do what you've always done, which is to say usually nothing, but especially do nothing when you're confronted with something new, because you don't have an answer for that. You know, your system of ethics and policymaking fundamentally relies only on things that have already been done. Nothing new is possible, and like ethics, what are those? We only do what the law says, right? So this is gonna be one for the books. I definitely, there's a sentiment that I sympathize with, that some people have been saying. I'm tired of witnessing major historical events. I think I can second that. But that's where we're stuck right now. And it's really disturbing to me that the Democratic Party is so bad at their job, so bad at what they do, that Trump has all of the political baggage in the world bearing down on him, and he's still the favored candidate. Like, if Trump doesn't get a felony conviction between now and the election, he wins the election. That's what, like, consistently polls show that. I know I've talked a lot of shit about polls before, but when poll after poll after poll comes out saying the same thing with different samples, different groups, and whatever, it starts to get a little bit concerning. And I start to think that, maybe this is actually leaning towards what's happening. Never mind the fact as well that one of my critiques of polling is that predicting an outcome makes that outcome more likely. So now that they've predicted the same outcome over and over and over again, it's that much more likely to happen that if Trump doesn't get convicted, he wins the election by virtue of Joe Biden being such a weak candidate on the Democratic side. And, then with like, the only scenario where Trump consistently loses being the one where he's convicted of like numerous crimes. No, that section was wonky. Oh no. Fucking. Ah! Oh boy, bullet bill. You get out of the way here. There we go. Did it right that time. I don't know how much faster that is, but I kind of assume that it's worth it, generally speaking. Ah, mushroom. This could be useful. Example here. Alright. Give me this item. Bananas? Alright, take that. Huh. Still wasn't enough. Ow. Good stuff. Alright. Honestly, I think, okay. I can't say for sure what the most likely outcome is because there's so little for me to go off of here. Um, what I hope happens is that Trump doesn't win the election. I think that's pretty evident. Uh, I think whatever happens, it is likely that democracy is not necessarily cooked within the next 4 years. Very bold prediction, and that's concerning on its own because I had to add so many caveats. But there's fundamentally there's two initial possibilities. Either Biden wins the election or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, then there are three more possibilities. The Republicans maintain control of both chambers of Congress, or the Democrats have control of one chamber, or the Democrats have control of both chambers. If the Democrats have control over both chambers, they have to, and I mean have to, impeach Trump and remove him from office the moment he gets sworn in, because he's committed crimes against the United States and he has attacked the foundations of democracy, etc., etc. That leaves like a non-0% chance that democracy is just fucked in 2025, right? If even one chamber is controlled by Republicans, we lose. Because Democrats are, I don't trust Democrats to ideologically hold the line against fascism, because they, like, at the end of the day, they still believe in the 1990s civility politics of, like, good governance and all that stuff. And there's like a decent chance that they would compromise willingly with Republicans on some bill that had it snuck in as a provision that, like, oh, all trans healthcare is banned or something. Maybe not something that extreme, but like they would definitely be part and parcel to certain parts of the Republican agenda in 2025. Like the Democrats just aren't smart enough as a bloc to put up ideological resistance to fascism. I think. Oh, what? That's down there now? No! Ah! This track frustrates me. You know, it might be faster to go that other way. Who knows? Sorry, Diddy Kong. Oh, dude, Casper, the friendly ghost himself? Okay. Alright. Okay, there we go. Whew. Didn't have to wager my life on that other bit there. I'm driving okay. Not driving great by any stretch. Nice. We take those -2. I'll take that. Nice. I wish there were more I could say on the matter of, like, the 2024 election coming up. I think the one thing I feel ultimately comfortable predicting is that the Republicans are probably going to lose a lot of ground in the legislature at the very least, because they haven't been particularly good at providing red meat for their base. And what I mean by red meat is like the reactionary talking points that like get people galvanized. They have no shortage of reactionary talking points, but the Republican base doesn't like them very much anymore. If you guys have noticed, there's there's obviously there's a subsection of the base that is thrilled by the anti-trans stuff and the woke groomers and whatever, and they'll go and vote for that. But when you think about the people who aren't necessarily part of that core, they they wouldn't really care that much. They're like, yeah, okay, what are you doing for me though? The veneer of fascism has been up for long enough that some people are starting to peel behind it and see that ultimately the Republicans are still in some ways neocons, right? And I don't mean to say that neocons and fascists are the same, but like the kind of fascism that Republicans represent is also state capitalist in the sense that they are anti-worker and they are pro-big business. They are pro inequality and pro austerity and all that. They won't even like feign interest in economic issues like the minimum wage and unionization and things like that. So they have to distract by offering like social reactionism as a bone to their base, like the rabid dogs that they are, or like the rabid dogs that they seem to behave like, you know. So on that reasoning, I think the Republicans are probably going to lose a significant amount of ground in the 2024 election, hopefully. It's just up to the Democrats to campaign on literally anything. You know, it'd be pretty hard. I've seen the Democrats blow this before, but it'd be pretty hard for them to do so. Certainly, I hope they don't. Even though the Democrats are going to still sink this country into apathy and economic backslide, they're going to do so less quickly than the Republicans, and they're going to do so in a way that actually allows room for political maneuvering for other more progressive actors to take the reins in some fashion and say, look, we need to start delivering on working class politics. We need to start appealing to the frustrations of common people in a way that lets us, do policymaking to help people with those frustrations directly, instead of what Republicans do, which is like redirect that frustration and anger towards a completely unrelated issue. Or a completely unrelated non-issue. At the risk of rambling on, I think I'll leave it there. Very wild political situation that we're living in. And the other two news items I had were from international politics. I don't know if anybody's particularly interested in that. Usually I talk about domestic politics because, well, domestic politics are domestic to me. Why did I miss that trick? Hello? Okay, somehow still in second. Oh, he fell off. Huh. I lived? I've never seen that happen. I know it looks like I'm throwing, but I'm genuinely just not driving well today. I see. Well, I'm sorry, my friend. Getting Mario Kart sure sucks, huh? No, I missed the... Ah! Okay. You guys saw what happened to me on that turn, right? Like, it screwed me over out of taking the turn any tighter than I did. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. That path isn't there anymore, bro. I'm driving so bad this race. And I'm somehow still in first. I think I'm making up some ground where it matters in the crucial bits. Okay. Managed to get it that time too. Here. Okay. I lived somehow. Pretty cool. And I somehow dodged that POW, which is interesting. Okay, now I'm driving a lot better. Whew. Good driving skills. Did you guys know that Pakistan has elections? Crazy. Nobody can believe this. You know, funnily enough, most countries have elections, even the dictatorships. In fact, especially dictatorships. Dictatorships love to have elections because in a world of sort of liberal governance, the veneer of democracy and the veneer of like procedural participation gives governments legitimacy. So you'll see a lot of times, even in military dictatorships, there will be elections, and sometimes you can have a system that is undemocratic, but your vote in an election like that can matter. Such is the case with Pakistan. Just yesterday, there was a series of elections going on for the prime ministership and the parliament, I believe. Currently, Al Jazeera is giving the live updates to this. Got time for 32 track GP? Maybe. I don't think I would be. I don't think I have the stamina for a 32 track GP as a commitment. If I learned anything from the last time I did that, but thank you for the invitation to do so. I appreciate it. Yeah. Where was I? Pakistan, right. Pakistan is not a democracy. But it is one of those countries that has a increasingly like a hybrid regime between like, it is a dictatorship. It's pretty undemocratic, but it still has elections as a means of like maintaining legitimacy and having that veneer of enlightenment and westernization and voter participation in the system and things of that nature, right? And Al Jazeera is covering the results of elections that took place yesterday. Now, it was revealed in the lead up to those to that election that the the government of Pakistan and the United States had gotten up to some potential drudgery, as it were, and we're working on rigging the election to get a more U.S. favored candidate in office. This sounds kind of nefarious, and to a degree it definitely is. But this is also a recurring trend in geopolitics that countries will influence the elections of other countries. The United States sort of propping up leaders that are favorable to us. Other countries of geopolitical note do the same thing. But in this instance, it seemed to not be successful. Ordinarily, the United States has a very successful track record with rigging elections in countries where we have a vested geopolitical interest. But in Pakistan, it was not so. That is not to say that anybody in this story is the good guy, because I don't believe that. But we have various different political parties vying for power here. And so far, we have a pretty, like, all things considered, a decently evenly split government between the parties that are participating. We have the Pakistan People's Party with 50 seats, the Pakistan Muslim League with 66 seats, and the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and their affiliates with 88 seats. Not like super lopsided in any given direction. No one party could form a coalition without working with the other parties here. And this is in the wake of the U.S., I think, trying to get rid of the PTI. That's Imran Khan's party. Imran Khan, famous former cricket player and now politician in Pakistan. Most famous politician from Pakistan, I think. Everybody in this election, don't get me wrong, is massively corrupt. Pakistan is pretty cooked from that perspective. But I don't know. I think to me it's an interesting development because people sort of... This is the first time that like an effort to rig what was initially projected to be an unfair election actually failed. And, despite the best efforts of all those involved, people went and voted, and that mattered more than the like electoral foul play. Ah, smart pal. Make people go a little bit wide there. Same thing here. Getting a lot of fake item boxes here. Okay. Pretty smooth front-running race. Sure, I'll keep going. Honestly, when it comes to places like Pakistan, just thinking about it, like, what do I even take away from that? I don't know what I take away from that. Probably that, like, countries are going to do whatever is in their geopolitical interests when it comes to international politics and that sort of stuff. I mean, it seems pretty tautological to say. That's how international politics works. But I think it just more than anything, politics seems to be a mess, especially in the in what the global south. Of this track, my one of my least favorite tracks in the pack, as I've explained on multiple different occasions. I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't at least gotten an update. It seems like this section, among a couple of other ones, are a little bit graphically outdated. You know? I guess for now I'll just enjoy the drive. Oh, shit, okay. That POW kind of got me. Smart usage of that. Heh, got him. I just knew if I held firm there, kept the drift, then he would get out of the way, so. There we go. Let's go around this way. Nice. Oh no! I actually think that hitting that banana might have caused me to fail the POW dodge. We. Okay. No interference this time from the POW. Looks like I'm going this way again. Okay, relatively uneventful race. On the worst track in the game. That's, well, I was gonna say it's not the worst track. Peaks is probably worse, but no, I think this is the worst track that's immediately available in the pack. Barring maybe Six King Labyrinth. Yeah, I think Six King Labyrinth is the worst track in the pack that you can pick, and then Star Slope is just the worst. But this track is definitely up there. What else has been happening? Oh yeah, Ukraine is still at war. Many such cases. I wanted to mention this briefly because I know that a chatter of mine brought it up previously, and I didn't have much to say on it because I hadn't seen the news stories. But now I do have some stuff to say on it, and that is the political situation in Ukraine regarding General Zaluzhny and President Zelensky, and how they've apparently had some conflicting opinions about strategizing during the war. And from what I've read from Politico, at least, from a couple of news articles, it seems like Zaluzhny did a really good job initially in the defense of Ukraine against the Russian invasion in 2022. But then in the summer offensive of 2023, they either Zaluzhny didn't quite have the right strategy, or there was just a general lack of intel that they had that led to the strategy failing in the counteroffensive. But the counteroffensive didn't yield that much ground, unfortunately. And as a result, you know, questions started going around in the Ukrainian leadership, particularly regards to like how good is Zaluzhny for the job. And so this culminated eventually in like Zelensky firing him from his post and saying, okay, I'm going to get a new commander-in-chief that will help us pursue a better offensive strategy. I want to, in the most positive possible interpretation, is I just want to believe that like Zaluzhny was a really good defensive general, but not necessarily suited for the needs of like a counter-offensive. Is that copium? Probably a little bit. But regardless, now the new general presumably is better at the offensive strategizing that Zelensky needs and ideally like would want regarding a potential counteroffensive in the future if they get the opportunity to do that much. You know. But either way, this doesn't look particularly good for Ukraine. You know, the whole like president and top military official having differences of opinion and there being like question about favorability among the public and stuff. That's definitely the kind of thing that you could hear about. You could very well hear about in the lead up to a military coup. You know, definitely a possibility there. Maybe not the strongest possibility, but it's not out of the question, right? Hopefully that's where the instability stops. But like ultimately, the military goals of Ukraine being the sort of recapturing of the Donbass and especially Crimea are looking more and more unlikely as we go along. You know, it's looking less and less likely by the day that the Donbass or Crimea will be returned to Ukrainian territory, and it looks like that's going to just have to be some concessions that Ukraine makes to Russia. I think at this stage, it probably what Ukraine is going to have to do is target their efforts around retaking the occupied oblasts in the south, and then have that be that, and say, look, you know, we are prepared to cede this territory if it means we get immediate accession into NATO and the EU to defend against future aggression and invasion, and so we can build up the country that we have aside from that, both in terms of like military defense capabilities and just in terms of economic activity. One of the great successes of Zelensky's presidency from 2019 to 22, but leading up to the invasion, was his fighting against corruption and sort of his government's efforts to build up civil society in Ukraine and sort of align their economic interests more with the European Union, in a way kind of westernizing the country, which is, it's a loaded term, but what I'm trying to communicate here is that I think Ukraine, more than anything else, wants a better material future for everybody that lives there, and the way they do that might have to involve giving some concessions to Russia now so that they can become a part of the military alliance that would secure them from aggressions from Russia later, and would enable them to incorporate more into the European bloc and have a strong economy and things like that. Yeah. But right now, like, a lot of that is contingent on the ability of Ukraine to, in some capacity, win the war, which is looking like an uphill battle, especially considering that, a lot of Western attention has shifted from that conflict to the genocide ongoing in Gaza, especially with the United States now giving the bulk of the military aid to Israel rather than Ukraine. Very, very cool that we're sort of deciding that we're sort of playing favorites here between the two of them. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like with all of politics, there's a layer of the fog of war. Fog of war is something that definitely happens during wartime, even and sometimes especially with the information age now being the disinformation age and whatever. It's hard to tell what's going on during wartime, and potentially to a lesser extent that's true for all of politics. It's a very difficult thing, at least for me, to understand. Sometimes I'm wondering if I like have an adequate picture to sort of put everything together. You know? Also, apparently, I don't have a link confirming this. If somebody could actually find a link to this story, I would really appreciate it. A couple streams ago, I talked about how actually, no, I think it was just last stream or the stream before. I think it was the same stream that I reacted to Just a Robot. I talked about that guy who was like a MAGA chud who beheaded his own dad because his dad was a Biden supporter, or like would have voted for Joe Biden. And between then and now, I heard about another instance of somebody killing another member of their own family because that person was a Biden supporter and they were like a QAnon type. But I could not find the link to that one because it was less spectacular. I don't think they literally beheaded them in the other one that I heard recently. All I found was the link to the initial story about the guy from Pennsylvania who killed and then beheaded his father for being a Biden supporter. So, I don't know if there's any there, but if nothing else, I think even just it happening the once is enough to say that, like, the politics of the right wing are ultimately mostly down to mental illness, or rather to, like, shadowboxing generally. You know, when I think about politics in general and politics on the left, it comes down to the material forces at play and people on the left trying to understand those material forces so that it can benefit the struggle of marginalized groups and things like that. But then on the right, like, the motivations are so wild. I guess I just have to refer to Umberto Eco's 14 points of fascism. You know, like the obsession with the plot, all of that stuff. The, like, enemy is strong and weak at the same time. That can, like, you know, what a shocker! It is revealed on this stream that conspiracy theories do not make sense. You know. Nobody can believe this. Also, everybody watching who plays a lot of Mario Kart, take notes because that's how you're supposed to drive that section on Mushroom Peaks. You have to trick off the first ramp, and then trick off the second to last red mushroom there, and then trick off the second and third mushrooms after the green mushroom pad. And you're always supposed to take the upper path, never take the lower path unless you have been shocked. That's come from years and years and years of playing Mushroom Peaks, falling off on Mushroom Peaks, trial and error, pure trial and error. That wasn't bad, actually. Watch this. How good was that? I need to know. Oh my god, that was a good placement of that fake item box. I'm delightfully devilish, Seymour. Somebody's got to hit that. I cannot wait for somebody to hit that. No! I think that was my fake item box, too. Not like it's a huge deal. I still have a mile lead. So you trick off that one. Wheelie. Don't trick, trick, and trick, and you make it. If it's gone when I get there, I'll have my confirmation that somebody hit it. Ow. I think this is fine, actually, because I'll get to that ramp. Oh, yeah, I even got big by the time I got there, so. I'm about to lap this poor bastard. Whoa, what? Okay, never mind. No, it happened again. Okay, did it right that time. Man, that's crazy. Still there? It is still there. Okay, so maybe it wasn't good enough. But I won anyway. I'm almost positive that people are going to start getting 30-second ruled. Okay. 8 players. We got some more players here. Yeah, all these articles are just about that guy that beheaded his dad. I could have sworn there was another one, but Evidently not. Neo Koopa City, fun track. You know, it's only been an hour and I've already talked about everything that I had written down as news items. There's a couple other things that I want to go through, but I might cut stream a little bit early. I don't know if I'll go the full 2 hours today. Maybe I'll do an hour and a half. I don't know. It sounds good. One other thing that was on my mind, though, was there's a YouTube channel that I've been watching lately called The Radical Reviewer. Very cool stuff. He reviews books. He reviews, I think, games sometimes as well. Things like that, but mostly books. And most of the stuff he reviews is political in nature, like theory, for the most part. Theory and, like, philosophically charged political literature, all that sort of stuff. And I remember watching a couple of his reviews about Ayn Rand's books. Now, you guys know what I think of Ayn Rand, probably, if you can hazard a guess by the iconography prominently featured on the channel. You know, fair guess as to what I think, right? But not only in addition to all the other things I've said about Ayn Rand on this channel and all that, she also can't write for shit. You know, she's really a bad author, as it turns out, right? And there's a couple ways that I could potentially psychoanalyze her to explain why that might be the case. But ultimately, it was pretty funny to be seeing the reviews of these books, and even if it wasn't, like, obviously quoting all the time, there were some quotes, and the sort of general material of the book, I think, was a stinging indictment of Ayn Rand's ability to write, if nothing else, and her also her very, very self-contradictory, fascistic, and, like, anti-materialist politics. You know. And, you know, having gone through that book, I think both Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead was the other one. I was like, God damn, there are people that take this woman seriously, or that took this woman seriously. I cannot fathom how that would be the case, you know. Although, of course, you know, people wanting to affirm their priors is a very powerful motive, and, you know, the self-interest of people. The perceived self-interest of people in like ethnic or racial power groups, or the definite material self-interest of people in the bourgeoisie, like, that's a very powerful motivating force too. Where she writes this book about, like, oh, business owners are all chads and egoists, epic cool dudes, and Reddit, like, swag lords or whatever the fuck. And people read that and they're like, he's just like me, for real, and then they have that be the basis of their entire ideology. You know, definitely a thing that happens, and you know, to those people, I wish they would read a real book for once. You know, that'd be good. And the best part is that the Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged are not non-fiction texts. They're not philosophical texts. They're not academic texts. They're just novels. Like, she basically wrote a fucking Harry Potter for libertarians or some shit. Because half of the shit that goes on in those worlds requires magic to exist for that to be possible, right? Like, it's so contrary to the way the world actually works, and so contrary to material forces that would be at play in any given situation, that it might as well be sorcery. You know? In fact, she had, like, there was an interesting premise in the Fountainhead, right? More interesting than an Atlas Shrugged, where the Fountainhead is all about this guy who's an architect. He's an artist of his own stripe, and he cares immensely about his art. In fact, it's just about the only thing he cares about. And it's very interesting to see the way in which, like, society and, believe it or not, capitalism and market forces prevents this guy from doing what he loves to do. That is to say, designing buildings, architecture, designing, that sort of thing, right? But, like, it's mired in these weird Nazi-esque critiques of modern art. You know, at the time, modernism was the movement of the day. And like there were these weird intercut bits that ended up becoming the whole book about like the degeneracy of modern art and how socialists and the left and degenerate artists just want to, well, degenerate society into a degenerate mess or what, like whatever the fuck, right? The word degenerate comes up a lot in that book. And that was actually more of a head scratcher than Atlas Shrugged, for the reason of there was actually some interesting stuff to be had in there potentially. But then it turned into that whole like business owners are cool and Chad and entrepreneur and like I don't know, fucking women debasing themselves and voluntarily subjugating themselves to the whims of the egoist Chad men in their lives. It's so bizarre. And like a lot of it is what I would describe as the writer's barely disguised fetish. Ayn Rand clearly had some very weird kinks bouncing around in her head that she went and took the quill and put to paper, right? Or I don't know, maybe she probably used a printing press. Like a typewriter. But again, I walked away being like, wow, anybody who takes this seriously as a philosophical text of any sort is a fucking idiot. Because this is fetish posting. This is not philosophy, this is fetish posting. You know? In fact, I'm pretty sure that in all of the Ayn Rand stuff that I've either seen or read, the only person that she cites is herself. And it was an essay that I read in college about her like notion of prime movers, like capitalists as prime movers and whatever. Ultimately, the substance was the same as in Atlas Shrugged or The Fountainhead. But at one point, she has to do an academic citation in Chicago notation, and she cites Atlas Shrugged, her own book, which is not an academic text. It's just a novel. You know, it's fiction. It's fiction. She cites fiction as the major philosophical underpinning of her entire ideology. Fiction that she herself wrote. Very, very strange. So, you know, shoutouts to past me when I made the that video about like the time I was playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. It's like, you know, the world isn't fair. You know, some people say that as a prescriptive statement, but we don't listen to those people because they're stupid as fuck. You know? That basically is what everything Ayn Rand has done boils down to, more or less. Oh, whoa, Koopa. Alright. He's got green shells, and I guarantee he is not afraid to use them. Oh, he almost got me. I've somehow maintained first through all that. Or, like, at the end of that. What the fu- Ugh. I hate when that happens. You can trick off that ramp. I did it last lap. You know, for some reason. Ooh, mushrooms. Missed the box. Whatever I do, I need to not get hit. Which means give me this box. This is bad. Okay, well. One mushroom. I wonder what I do with this. Probably that. Yeah, it seems good. Ow. Sorry, Koopa. You're gonna get a blue shell. Okay, this is pretty good for this section. No fucking way, dude. Almost. Could you imagine if that aligned so perfectly? I golden up to third, guy in second gets a red shell and chucks it at first. I get a red shell and chuck it at second, and then they both get owned and I get first. Man, that would have been a photo finish. But I guess it wasn't meant to be, as it were. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Random. Yes, please. Yeah, I think today's a 1.5 hour stream kind of day. Oh, ow, stretch. Imagine voting for the rabbit hole. Couldn't be me. Man, people really... There's like there's like a dozen tracks that people keep picking in CTGP. And or I guess I could pick random and it would pick mine. And it just randomizes to Sky Shrine. Oh yeah, also something interesting that's happening right now that I can't speak to too much because I haven't seen it, is Tucker Carlson is interviewing Vladimir Putin. Tucker Carlson being a disgraced former pundit at Fox News. You know, and, you know, Vladimir Putin being Vladimir Putin. Many such cases. Although I don't think I would really need to watch the interview to know what it's going to contain, mostly. Because Tucker Carlson's job now is still basically the same as when he was at Fox News. He just is no longer at Fox News, so he has to do it a little bit differently. His job, since he is on the far right and is definitely at least a white nationalist, he might also be a Nazi with the way he's talked about Zelensky in the past. His job is to, as a mainstream pundit, take Nazi talking points and sort of launder them for consumption in a general right-wing audience and sort of push the right further to the right, if that makes sense. And I have no doubt that that's mostly what he's going to be doing in this interview with Vladimir Putin, is trying to push people to the right and basically like agreeing with what all Putin is saying. In fact, that's why the Kremlin said that, like, they accepted the interview. They were like, yeah, the reason we've rejected other journalists' requests to interview Vladimir Putin, but we accepted Tucker Carlson, is basically because Tucker Carlson agrees with our viewpoint and other journalists don't. You know? Then again, you know, with Tucker Carlson now being on Twitter as opposed to Fox News, I don't know how much of an audience he really has that will be like that if it's going to make any difference. Because, you know, when he was at Fox News, a lot of normies really knew who Tucker Carlson was and knew about the stuff he was saying. And it sort of was legitimized in people's eyes if they weren't necessarily right-leaning as a virtue of it being, like, mainstream TV. But now he's not in the mainstream anymore on that, like, cable news circuit. And he doesn't get the kind of viewership that he used to get on Fox News. So I don't know. It's possible that this interview could have a lesser impact than he and other people on the far right would hope, you know? Which would be good, ultimately. One person though, somebody on Twitter made a pretty funny joke that I think might actually be indicative of how this interview is going right now, or will go, or went, depending on whether it's happening or already happened. Is that, you know, Tucker Carlson is gonna sit down expecting something about wokeness and trans people and queer people, and Putin's gonna give him a 3-hour long lecture on Russian historiography and why Ukraine is the blood and the soil of Russia or whatever. You know? Which would be pretty funny. In fact, I'm hoping that's what happens because it would be the funniest timeline. And it would also be the most difficult thing for Tucker Carlson to, like, launder and normalize for, like, a right-wing audience if it's not like what they're expecting, because fascism tends to be pretty samey everywhere, and like even if they agree, it might not have the instant wide-ranging reach that it would have if they were like, oh my god, Putin's just like us for real. Putin said Tucker bombed Nord Stream. I can't fact check that, so I'm gonna assume that's a shit post, but I'll check after stream, and that would be pretty funny if he did say that. Also, welcome back to chat, Flat Earth Dennis. Only got about 12 minutes left in stream, I think. I don't have that much in me today. I can give you a clip? Sure, you know, link the clip. I'll take a look at it after this race. Oh, no, okay, I get it. I think I understand. Like, Putin accused America of bombing Nord Stream, but since Tucker is there and he's American, he said, like, you guys bombed Nord Stream or something. Said it as a joke, of course. Really? They're just on joking terms like that? That's interesting. Red shell, huh? I'll just throw that. Don't really need it. Ah, Mega Mushroom. Oh boy, shock dodge. Okay, cool. What? I cannot believe that hit the green shell and didn't go for second or first. Let's see how this holds up. Just two fascists hanging out and having a laugh? Yeah, fascists tend to get along, as long as there are still political opponents that aren't fascists to cannibalize, you know? Like, as long as there are socialists and like, major blocks of liberals, socialists, and anarchists in a given country, fascists will get along. But as soon as the fascists run out of opponents with any political status behind them, they start to eat their own. Like, insanely quickly, they start to eat their own. Also, best item in the game. I'm gonna get 7th, I think. Eighth. Okay. Just like the left? No, the left doesn't need to accomplish its objectives to start infighting. We do that anyway. Yeah. Let's go to TikTok and see what's up.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
Captcha. God damn it.
You for sure. Who blew up Nord Stream?
Here we go. Let's so we're mega based and infight pilled. Yes and no. Here's the thing that of all people Destiny pointed out, even though Destiny has been on his you can't commit a genocide during wartime arc. One thing he pointed out a few months ago when him and Vosh and Emma Vigeland went to DC was that infighting occurs on both the left and right, but it is very different on the left versus on the right. On the left, infighting tends to be relatively insular to like grassroots communities, and can get in the way of organizing efforts and all that, but ultimately is a relatively routine obstacle that people will frequently put aside for the sake of political canvassing and action and things like that. Right? Like, in layman's terms, leftist infighting takes place on Twitter and Blue Sky and Tumblr and wherever else people are active online, right? Right-wing infighting happens in the fucking halls of the national legislature, on like national television, and in the halls of institutional power. Right infighting happens at the institutional level, and it's the political parties themselves, the whole movement, powerful people ripping themselves to shreds over the most minute differences, right? And when I say minute, I don't mean minute like on the left. People on the left can have some pretty genuine differences of opinion at times, even though there are general policy objectives that are pretty similar, right? On the right, it's basically, to what extent do you think trans people are demon devils that will get you, like, in a frenzied shouting match? Or, like, which flavor of fascism do we want to pursue right now versus what are we doing tomorrow, and like, all that sort of stuff. Who's the better strongman and that sort of thing. Like, really just catty bullshit. I need a box. Yeah. I'm just gonna use this. I think I made the right decision, as long as this Daisy doesn't throw anything backwards. God damn. Dude, people got it out for me this race. Holy shit. Alright. I'm actually in a pretty good spot right now. Fifth place, methinks. 5th place. Let's take a look at that TikTok video. I'm going to bring up the React to Andy window just ever so briefly. No, I'm not adding this to the bookmarks bar. I'm trying to make it its own window. Okay. There we go. React to Andy? No. Wait, I need to make it something else. Yeah, here we go. Let's see what Tucker Carlson has to say on this. No, I'm not logging into TikTok. Let's take a look.
Who blew up Nord Stream? You for sure. Nate, do you have I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
Okay, alright, that's yeah. Who blew up Nord Stream? Points to Tucker. No, I was busy that day. Oh, and Putin also said he invaded Ukraine not because of NATO in a roundabout manner. I mean, that is true. You know, Putin didn't invade Ukraine because of NATO. Putin invaded Ukraine because of his broader geopolitical ambitions to restore the Russian Empire, and also because Ukraine has some nice, literally good soil. They have a lot of black soil there. That would certainly provide a lot of economic benefit to Russia. That's why he did it, ultimately. But interesting deviation from his typical line about NATO aggression nonetheless, you know? Usually you expect him to take that like, oh, you know, NATO's encroaching on our sovereignty, it's our geopolitical backyard and whatever. We have to protect our security interests in the region free of NATO interference. But I guess this time he was just like, no, that's not why we did it. Although maybe he probably alluded to like blood and soil and stuff, which is a much more honest characterization either way of why Russia invaded Ukraine. Oh, I wheelie bumped him. I think this will be the last race, and then I'll be done for this session. Oh, I didn't get a box. Rip. Oh, and he gave Tucker secret documents, apparently. That's strange. I don't know why that would happen. He might be leaning in on the whole Russian asset thing. I don't know. Ow. Because, like, you know, people throw around the term Russian asset. A Russian asset is just somebody who is, like, in what they do is good for the geopolitical interests of Russia. So, like, if somebody's an American asset, that doesn't necessarily mean they have any direct ties to the United States operationally. It just means that what they're doing favors the United States' geopolitical interests over maybe the country that they are currently in, or like an adversary of the United States or whatever. So it's possible that Putin might be looking to give a more dedicated and intentional role to Tucker Carlson in regards of like international interests. Also, that green shell at the line was petty as fuck. Yeah. Anyways, I'm probably just gonna go watch the Voss stream where he's covering that interview. Assuming it's not done yet. It might be done. I don't know. Look. That's all that I can stomach for this stream, I think. I'm really tired today. I went to the food bank yesterday. My legs are tired. Dylan watched it too. Based. Yeah. Anyway. Who's live? I go Summit Shark. Shark is playing Tekken. I'm not a huge fan, so no raid today. I will. I'll see you guys maybe Sunday, but potentially. But yeah. Bye.